Today's project is this is my wife's standard off-the-rack Ruger 1022. I've done absolutely nothing to it, and she shot it the other day and zeroed the scope and really liked its accuracy. But what I'm doing today is taking this tapered barrel, Clark barrel, and I'm going to put it on my wife's gun, and then I'm going to remove the trigger group, and I'm going to do a really nice trigger job on it for her, and I'm not going to tell her, and I guarantee you she won't even notice she's got a high-dollar barrel on there and a trigger job, but she will notice that it went from 1-inch groups down to half-inch groups, and yeah, I'm going to have to endure a whole bunch of bragging about what a good shot she is, but it'll be funny to see her not even notice that she's got a aftermarket barrel and a trigger job. And I'm going to disassemble the gun and swap the things out, and then as I do the trigger job I'll show you how it's done. To remove a 1022 barrel, you remove the entire thing from the stock. There's just one screw that holds it in, and this V block here is the only thing that holds the barrel in. So you undo them hex head bolts right there, 2 of them. You pull the V block off, and then you grab a hold and you twist and pull this barrel out. Okay, there's the barrel removed. There's the V block that holds it in that way. There's the 2 screws. Now I'm going to remove the trigger group assembly from the receiver. And the way you do that is there's 2 pins that have to be punched out. Right there, right there. It doesn't require much effort. They just got to be knocked out, and this will pop right out. And then this bigger pin you have to remove to take the bolt out, which I'm going to do on my wife's gun, but not this gun. I'll get to that. Okay, here's how you remove the trigger assembly from the receiver. Press out this pin, this pin, and this pin is so you can remove the bolt. It is hard to do looking through the viewfinder. Alright, I'll get that later. There's the trigger assembly. Now I've got to disassemble all those little springs and washers and everything inside that trigger housing. And then I'm going to put a over travel adjustment screw coming in from the back of this trigger guard, and it will touch this trigger so you can adjust the over travel. It's just something that makes it a little more accurate and disturbs the rifle less when you're making a shot. And I'll have to turn the camera off to get this out in these 2 hands. And I'll show you how to take the bolt out in a sec. Okay, that last pin had to come out, so this bolt could be moved all the way back, and you raise it up, pull it out. That's inside of it. It fits in that little space right there. And when I put this back together, I'll have my wife come out and hold the camera so I can show you how it goes back together. But those are the parts. You are completely disassembled. And then what I do, a little modification I make, The only way you can clean this thing without going through the muzzle end, and you don't want to do that, and the reason is it messes up the crown by cleaning through the muzzle. So there's two ways to clean this barrel without risking any damage to the crown on the muzzle, and that's to remove the barrel, or what I do is I drill a hole back here where I can put the cleaning rod through the back end of this receiver without having to remove the barrel. Because once you get this thing all sighted in, if you remove the barrel, when you put it back together, it will be slightly off and you'll have to make some minor modifications. And I'll show you that when I get to it too. Here's another observation. Inside this receiver, it's got overspray all in the bottom of this receiver, and the bolt rides back and forth on that overspray. Eventually, the movement of this bolt will wear through that overspray, but I'm going to take steel wool, buff that up real good in the bottom of that receiver where the bolt travels, and it'll make the bolt travel smoother and a little faster. And I don't know if you can see the shiny areas on this. I'll point to them where the bolt actually rubs against the top of the receiver. That's this area, this area, this, and this. And then the bolt handle fits in there, and you can see where it rubs here also. So what I'm going to do is polish these areas, these two, and the back of that, so the bolt will move faster and smoother. And then the last little modification that I make, here's a little lesson on how these things work. You probably know, if you've gotten this far, then you know how these things work. The back end of this bolt is somewhat squared. It's nowhere near rounded enough. When this gun fires, a bolt travels backwards, hits that, locks it back in its firing position, like that. And you can see in the back end of the bolt where it's shiny, that's where it hits the hammer. And what I do is decrease or increase the radius on this. I put a nice rounded edge back here where the inertia of the bolt coming backwards isn't lost just knocking this hammer down, and more of the spring can be used to throw the bolt back forward to pick up a bolt and slam it into the chamber. Having a bolt properly seated in the chamber is goes a long way towards accuracy. And these little modifications, every little thing you do to these Ruger 1022s, increase the accuracy just a little bit at a time. And next thing you know, you've got a stock rifle with a little bit of your time and effort. You've taken an 1.5 inch, 1.25 inch group down to 3/4 to possibly 1/2 inch with the right ammunition. Plus, it's fun to do. I like tinkering with 1022s. I just love these guns. So until I get my wife out here, there's not much more I can show you. I'm going to disassemble this and get to polishing. I suppose I could show you that, but I won't be able to show you how to disassemble this. That's something you'll have to get a schematic and take it apart and put it together. It's not complicated, just a lot of little springs and washers, and I'll need 2 hands to do that, so I can't can't record it. So that's it, until I get my wife out here to show you some other things to hold the camera while I'm doing it. And that's pretty much it. Okay, I got the back of the bolt all polished up. I've got the paint taken out of the receiver, wherever the bolt rides. I've removed the paint and polished it with my Dremel, some Jeweler's Rouge, some very, very fine grit sandpaper. Let's see, that's 400. I knocked it down with a 400 grit, and then I polished it with my Dremel tool. Same thing with the back of the bolt here. So that's going to go a long way in making this thing, at the very least, it decreases the lock time and the inertia, more of the inertia of the bolt is used to pick up a bullet and push it into the chamber. A couple more things to do. Drill a hole in the back of that, polish up my trigger group, and I'm putting it back together. Okay, I've radiused the back end of that bolt where it hits the hammer. Now I'm going to polish the front edge of this hammer where it rides against the bottom of the bolt. Okay, there's the empty trigger housing. And these are the parts you need to have access to. Please let me remember how this goes back together. Okay, here we go. These two areas here, that edge and this edge, I have removed metal before, but I'm not going to do that this time. All I'm going to do is polish the heck out of these, and it may not bring the actual weight, trigger pull weight down, but it will make it a much smoother trigger. And between that and then putting an over travel adjustment screw on the back end of the trigger right here, it'll make a big difference. And then I'm also going to polish the face of this bolt here, the hammer rather, so when the bolt goes over it, the two smooth surfaces will really work well. Alright, I'm going to get to polishing. Okay, I've drilled it, tapped it. There's my taps. There's my over travel screws. And there it is. And I'll show you how it works when I get the trigger in. Well, it took me a while. I got it all back together and I realized I had a part left. That little spring-loaded plunger behind the trigger there. Anyway, it's together. And there is my over travel adjustment, and I'll put this in the gun, set that over travel adjustment, put a little Loctite on it, put my barrel on it, and my wife is going to have a completely customized gun, and she's not even going to know it. Okay, there we are. $200 Clark barrel. The hole I drilled on the back of the receiver to clean it with, you can't see it once it's in the stock. I got my over travel screw adjusted. Now let's go out in the back and throw 5 rounds through it just to make sure the trigger is going to lock up and not become automatic real quick. Oh yeah. Well, that was a fun little project, and now I can't wait to go shooting with my wife, and she's going to sit down at the bench, and her groups are going to be about half the size they were, and the gun is just going to be jam-free and flawless, and the trigger pull is going to be nice and smooth, and she's just going to say, "Oh man, I'm really shooting good today." And she won't know a thing unless somebody tells her, because she doesn't watch my videos.